The villagers never expected what happened, and was it because of the beauty potion? In a quiet village surrounded by tall grass and red dust, an old widow named Mama Adero lived alone in a small mud hut. Her husband had died many years ago, and she had also lost her children. People in the village said she was strange. Some even whispered that she was a witch, but Mama Adero never bothered anyone. She just swept her compound every morning, fetched water, and sat on a small wooden stool staring at the hills. Then, one dry season morning, Mama Adero spread a mat under the neem tree near her hut and placed several small calabashes filled with a thick, dark oil. She called it Adero's beauty secret. She said it could make any girl the most beautiful in the village. Skin like milk, eyes like shiny river stones, hair soft like cotton. The village girls laughed at her. Some even mocked her as they passed by. What would an old woman know about beauty? They said. Nobody wanted to be the first to try it. But there was one girl, Amaka, who was tired of being called plain. Boys didn't look at her. Even her stepmother said her face was tired. So one evening, when no one was looking, she walked up to Mama Adero's hut with a small bag of groundnuts. "Is it true?" she asked. Mama Adero smiled. She didn't say much, but took Amaka inside and rubbed the oil gently into her skin, from her forehead to her arms, and told her not to use a mirror until tomorrow morning. The next morning, Amaka screamed when she saw herself in the mirror. Her face was glowing, her lips were full, her skin looked like golden honey. The change was real. Everyone saw it. People gasped when she walked to the market. Boys who had never spoken to her tried to carry her basket. Her stepmother nearly fainted. After that, the rush began. One by one, the village girls came to Mama Adero's hut. They brought yams, salt, palm oil, anything they had. Mama Adero never asked for money. Just a little of this, a little of that. And every girl who used the oil woke up more beautiful than the day before. But they never expected what happened next. Amaka had a very bad body odor. It was so bad that people ran away when they saw her from afar. And trust me, it did not end there. The young women who had once shone like sunlight now gave off an unbearable stench that smelled like goats, sheep, and cow feces all put together. It was a horrible stench, and it clung to them like smoke. It followed them everywhere. Not even heavy perfumes or countless baths could wash it away. It grew worse with each passing day. The villagers were confused. And the girls? They stayed indoors, ashamed and broken. Boys who once fought to carry their baskets now turned their faces. No one could understand what had happened. Before long, the villagers found out that all the women who had used Mama Adero's beauty secret had this terrible stench following them around. Mama Adero was the prime suspect for this strange stench. She still swept her yard, still fetched her water, still sat quietly under the neem tree minding her business. But the villagers had forgotten about what happened many years ago. She too had sat in shame, not for herself, but for her daughters, Idaya and Nalo. They had returned home broken one night, trembling and bloodied. They had been brutally raped by the chief's two mischievous sons. The village had refused to believe them. Instead, her daughters were mocked, called liars, and worse. Eventually, the shame was too much. Mama Adero found them both lifeless by the river bank, all soaked and wet. No one was punished. No one mourned with her. The chief held a feast the following week. So when the world forgot, Mama Adero did not. She studied. She listened. She traveled far to find a woman who taught her how to bind sorrow and justice into a potion. A beauty that blooms with a price. And so, in the same season her daughters had died, she unrolled her mat and called it Adero's beauty secret. Now, the village was choking on the truth, but the stench hadn't even reached its peak because the potion wasn't finished yet. It was only just beginning to awaken. The smell grew worse. It sank into every corner of the village, and people could no longer pretend it wasn't real. The girls who had once glowed like firelight were now trapped in rooms, ashamed to be seen. And everyone knew the stench had started with Mama Adero's beauty potion. So one day, the villagers marched to her hut. They shouted her name and demanded she come out. She did. She stood in front of her mud house with a calm face. They told her to remove the curse. They begged, they warned, they threatened. Mama Adero nodded and agreed she had made the beauty potion and she had caused the stench. But she also said it could only be undone if the chief's sons were punished for what they did to her daughters long ago. The villagers refused. They said it was in the past and that the matter was too old. Mama Adero said nothing more. She went back into her hut and closed the door. The next morning, the whole village gathered at the chief's compound. Something had happened. Mama Adero and the chief's two sons were found dead. They were lying in the boys' room. No wounds, no struggle. Just still bodies and a single empty calabash beside them. She had given them poison, and she had taken it too. Now, there was no one to beg for help. No one to undo what had been done. The village searched far and wide for someone who could cure the girls. They spent all their money. They gave away goats, land, even gold. Finally, a healer from a faraway place brought an antidote. But it did not fix everything. The stench stopped, but many of the young women were left with marks on their skin, strange burns, and patches that would never heal. Their beauty faded. Their laughter disappeared. The village grew quiet. Years later, people still talk about Mama Adero. Some say she was wicked. Others say she was just a mother who had nothing left to lose. But one thing was clear. When you choose silence over justice, the smell of your choice may never wash away.